Hello, my Aloha tribe, and welcome to the Aloha Perspective, where you get a little bit of something and a whole lot of everything. Happy Monday. It's a new week. Cannot believe this is the last week of October. Where'd the month go? Ugh, excuse my makeup. I just saw it. Oy. Little heavy, but I like the color. So anyways, sorry. All right, let's just start out with the actions of Aloha cards, and then we'll get right to the Affirmators. And tomorrow or sometime this week, I do have a subject I'm going to talk about, but not today. So let's see. What came up today? Donate newspapers to an animal shelter. Do they even make newspapers anymore? I mean, I think I saw some, and they're so tiny now. Or donate to animal shelters, old blankets, old shirts, anything, because they can always turn it into something that they can use for the little animals, towels, those are helpful. So anything you can actually donate to an animal shelter would be great. And say 3 things that you were grateful for. All right, we had that one before. But yeah, don't just donate newspapers and whatnot to animal shelters. You can donate all kinds of things to animal shelters. Like I said, towels that you don't use, beach towels that you don't use, blankets that you don't use, sheets, anything. I know the newspapers they usually line the bottom of the cages with, but yeah, so whatever you don't use that is in relatively good shape, please. Or even food, money, all those things. They can always use those things. So, yeah, so there we go. Let's see what today's Affirmator cards are. We got the Affirmators today. All right. I don't think today's going to be a very long show. I'm going to save that one. You know what? I'm going to shuffle this one because I don't have the capacity to do 2 cards today. My ear is giving me a little bit of the fits today, but yeah, so let's just shuffle these, see what happens, and then we'll go from there. There we go. Okay. Number 1. Damn it. This is really wanting me to do 2 cards today. Well, no. All right, here we go. Commitment. I kept getting the other cards, the bonus cards, and it's like, but when we do the bonus cards, we have to do the next one. So I will shuffle these again. You know what? Let's just shuffle them again. I'm sorry. I know. You're like, I did not come on this show to watch you shuffle your cards. I know, and I can't see who's on, but good morning or good afternoon or wherever you are in this world. Thank you for popping on. All right, let's see what we got. Okay, this time, no matter what, we will do the card. Son of a bitch. This is the same card that popped up before. All right, it's a bonus card, so we're going to have to do 2. Okay, thoughtfulness and humility. All right, so here we go. It's time to put your money where your mouth is and have fun showing your love. Think of all the things you can do to show a person you love them. Then stop thinking of those things and actually do them. It is time to hide a note in someone's pocket, make them a snack, order them a book. Anything thoughtful can be an act of love, even taking the trash out to the dumpster, unless you're dating the trash, in which case, don't take it to the dumpster, take it somewhere fancy. Wow, really? That's bad. Wow. Who would have thought that would have been so full of thoughts could be considered thoughtful? I don't know. I don't like that last thought. It's kind of rude. All right, and humility. I take a deep breath and release all of my desire to be right. Without right, what's left? A soft and pliable version of me that's willing to make mistakes, hear other people's opinions, and try doing stuff a different way. In other words, I get to take a pretty sweet, all-inclusive brain vacation. And there's a star next to it, so some restrictions apply depending on the current tenacity of my ego. That's a funny card. I'm eating. Drinking, SPF, camera, little pineapple drink. Gotta love all the things. I love that. The foot hanging off the side of the chair. But anyways, if my brain ever grows arms and legs, I'm going to be extremely disturbed. But yeah, so how do these two go together? Well, humility. All right. Sometimes, so this is clearly more of a relationship card, but we're going to turn it into an everybody card. Okay, we're going to turn this into the this is for everyone card. And it could be friendships, again, it could be relationships, you could be married, you could be single, whatever. So thoughtfulness comes in all different ways, all right? It just doesn't have to be if you're dating someone or if you're married to someone, but it doesn't hurt either, right? So, I mean, we had thoughtfulness here. It says, have fun showing your love. Now, love is romantic and it's platonic and it's familial. And sometimes we let our ego get in the way, and that's not always good, all right? If there's been hiccups in your family life, or if there's been hiccups in your friend life, or hiccups in your relationship life, then maybe it's time to just kind of, step out of the I need to be right and just be a little more thoughtful. Just sometimes we have to, it's not just about giving and taking, right? Sometimes we have to give a little more in order for those around us to say, hey, you know what? Okay, I made a boo-boo, but who's going to give first, right? So a lot of times we'll make a mistake, and two parties may be at fault here, and then all of a sudden it's like nobody wants to do the thing, right? So it's all about that. It's all about, sorry, I just got a text message coming through, so let me gather myself, because you know what, this might help a little bit. Excuse me, one moment. I know you would think that my ear is not throwing me off, but my ear is throwing me off, and I think it's really healing. I checked on it today. I know, I punctured my ear, but I'm still sticking things in there to look at it. But I know, but anyways, sorry. Just let me gather myself for a moment. I almost didn't come on today because I am still so discombobulated, and this does not help at all. So let's just make this a little more simple. I think I'm trying to over explain this. Sometimes our humility can get in the way. I mean, not humility itself, but the ego, before we get to the part of humility, right? And when we allow it to get in the way, we just kind of mess ourselves up. We kind of throw ourselves off. And, ego's not great. Ego's not great. In fact, I had a thing that I was going to do a show on, but I can't remember if I wrote it down or not, but it was ego versus self. And sometimes our egos just get so big and so out of control that we forget there's other people around us. So, good morning, older sibling. So, I think sometimes we just need to take a step back, right? I mean, here's the humility card again. I take a deep breath and release all of my desire to be right. Without right, what's left? A soft and pliable version of me that's willing to make mistakes, hear other people's opinions, and try doing stuff a different way. That's also where thoughtfulness can come in. It says here, stop thinking of those things and actually do them. Is it time to hide a note in someone's pocket, make them a snack, order them a book? Anything thoughtful can be an act of love. Yeah, I'm not going to finish that because I did not like that. Even if you're dating the trash. Really? What is that? Even if you're dating the trash? Pff, hello. So anyways, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm just, my brain is not working today. And I apologize for that because, I mean, I came onto the show to do the show and my brain is just not working. But I do think, I do think this is kind of where, humility and thoughtfulness can meet. Okay, because, humility is a beautiful thing. A lot of people think, oh, well, you're too nice, you're too humble, you're too this, you're too that, you're too this, you're too that. But what do those people's lives look like? Right? I mean, we don't always have to be right. I know there are times when, we all feel like we need to be right. I think there's times when, we all want to be right. And there's a time and a place for everything, right? I mean, even when we are right, we don't need to shove it down other people's throats. Because sometimes you're just not going to reach them. And I'm slowly learning this. The climate that we live in right now, I think this is why I'm having so much trouble, because I'm really trying not to focus on a lot of these things, because there's so much this going on right now. And especially in this country. And it's sad because it never used to be that way. People would have disagreements and it's okay. But now people have disagreements and all of a sudden it's like they've been given permission to be angry over everything. And I have to tell you, it's fucking annoying. Okay, it is. Because you just try to have a decent conversation with someone and you shoot some facts at them, and next thing you know, you're on their hit list, you're on their enemy list, and it's kind of like, what the hell happened? These are the same kind of conversations we used to have like a long time ago, and we can't have them anymore because people are so defensive over everything nowadays. We need to find a way to get back to humility and thoughtfulness. We need to find a way to love one another. We need to find a way to be kind. Even when it feels like people may be upending you because other people say they are. No, just stop. Just stop. Make your own assessment on your own judgments, on the way people treat you. When groups of people come into a country looking for a better life, someone's going to tell you they're horrible. But are they? Do they know? I mean, come on. We live in a country where, the ancestors really kind of took it over from the Native Americans. I'm sure they weren't happy about that. And yet when the first people arrived, there they were trying to help them survive. So, kindness and humility can go a long way. Thoughtfulness can go a long way. We just have to remember who we are at the core of who we are. We have to remember, the beautiful things we used to do for one another, no matter what we agreed or disagreed on. Because when we don't, this is what happens. The world that we currently live in, where there's so much anger, so much hate, so much distrust, so much, just vitriol in every direction. And it's horrible. It affects your psyche. It affects your heart. It affects, everything good about us. And that's because we let our ego get in the way. And the cure to the ego is not just humility, but it's being thoughtful. It's about thinking about other people for a change. It's about doing things that, bring us joy, even if we're doing it for somebody else. It's about looking at the other person and going, hey, you're human. Not, oh, you're this, that, or the other. We have to be better. And the only way to be better is to remind ourselves who we are at the core. Are we really angry people? I mean, there's nothing more than I like than to be right. And growing up, it's like I used to get bullied a lot. I used to, I went through my own traumas and everything. So being right made me feel good. It made me feel like I belonged in the world. But then after a while, it's like, oh, well, no, there's a certain delivery that comes with it, right? Oh, no, that's not it. This is it. But instead saying, well, I think maybe, and sometimes I think we have a tendency to downplay how smart we are because we don't want to make other people feel, like we're a know-it-all. And some people do get a little upended by that, like, oh, well, you're a know-it-all. It's like, okay, whatever. And some of those people just can't handle it. So you get to decide how you want your delivery to be, but we don't always have to be right. Older sibling. She's a perfect example, right? There's things that she knows and she'll say stuff. And I remember, this is years and years and years ago. It was a whole hockey conversation we were having. And one person said, well, no, this is blah, blah, blah. An older sibling was like, when we left, she's like, actually, they were wrong. This is who was blah, blah, blah. And this is what was blah, blah. And Sissy Joe and I are like, why didn't you say something? Oh, they wanted to be right, so I thought I'd let them be right. It's like, that's a little bit of overkill on the humility, in my opinion. But also, she was like, well, the person felt very adamant that they were right. But, because Sissy Joe and I are who we are, we let them know that Laura was right. So, and then we told Laura later. So, and she's like, you didn't have to do that. It's like, yeah, we did. Because the person she was talking about was a person that always has to be right, even when they're wrong. They will fight you tooth and nail unless you actually put it in their face and go, you're wrong. So, sometimes, we were being petty, but we were also putting someone back in their proverbial place. So, but that's how older sibling is, but I told her, I said, look, if you're right, just say something. Because, you don't want to give the wrong information out either, right? You don't want someone to run around telling people stuff. And because she's done that to me. And I'm like, then it's like, there's something in me that goes, this doesn't feel right. And so I look it up and it's kind of like, oh, well, you know what? I was not right. It's like, you were right. Why didn't you say something? So, humility is a good thing, but over humility can be a bad thing. We'll call it toxic humility. All right. Because, it's probably not the right word to use for it, but you don't have to go through life being completely humble all the time. You're allowed to just be who you are. You get to pick and choose when you want the ego to come out. You get to pick and choose when you want the humble side of you to come out. But there needs to be a balance between the two. And I think that's where thoughtfulness comes in. You have a fight with a friend, with a family member, with a partner, a business partner or a romantic partner. Maybe you realize you're wrong, but you don't want to give in, right? Because you're like, oh man, I'm always wrong and I don't want to be wrong this time. Or I'm always right and I can't believe I'm wrong this time. It's okay. Do something nice for the person. Okay? Maybe you're having a rough patch in any type of relationship across the board. Or maybe they're having a hard time with something. Do something nice for them. Be thoughtful. Thoughtfulness is a beautiful thing, right? Thoughtfulness is a wonderful thing. You can just surprise people with things. I have a good friend of mine that our moms passed on either end of the summer of 2014. Her mom passed in May, my mom passed in September. And so we kind of bookended the summer. And because we went through this together and because she had just lost her mom, she really kind of played a pivotal role in guiding me. Because, not that other people didn't, because other people were absolutely wonderful during that time, especially older sibling and baby sibling. But because she had just lost her mom, she was really helping me kind of in real time navigate this road that I wasn't expecting to go down so early in my life. And yeah, I was in my early 40s, but my mom was only in her 60s. And, I swore that my parents were going to live long, long, long. Dad will. A week from now, he's going to be 80. So anyways, the thoughtfulness with us is, we always send each other things on, and we make sure they land at the doorstep on the day that our moms passed away. So it's, and it's not something that we intended. It was just something to kind of cheer us up that became sort of a habit, or not a habit, just kind of our tradition, I should say. So, that's a sign of thoughtfulness. We don't live in the same city. We live in the same state, but she's on the top of the state. I'm at the bottom. So, it's just one of those things. So that's also a sign of thoughtfulness. I've had people, I've talked about this before, where a friend would just randomly bring me coffee from Dunkin' Donuts, which is amazing. And after the first time, she got it down exactly how I love it. Just milk, coffee and milk. And she even started getting me decaf against my will, but it was thoughtful, right? Because she's like, well, I don't want you to die. It's like, caffeine is not going to kill me. A lot of caffeine might, but not a little bit. But anyways, it was the thoughtfulness. Even leaving a note. Sometimes at my old job we had an inner office messaging system, and every so often I would just get little messages would pop up. Just thinking of you. I hope you're having a great day. This could be someone on the other side of the office, but it was really nice. It was thoughtful. So there are lots of different things that we can do. Sibling has done a lot of thoughtful things for me, like she'll see something and then she'll get it. And then all of a sudden I'm opening it on Christmas or my birthday. And it's like, oh my God, thank you. But stop. But, or just calling to check on how we're doing. She calls on me a lot, or she calls me a lot to check on me and make sure I'm doing okay. So, it's just, these are the thoughtful things that we can do. And this is what, we're capable of when we put our ego in check. So, I know there's a fine line between humility and ego. I know there's a fine line in wanting to be right all the time and, needing to be right all the time. And there's a difference. There's a difference when you're right, because, you don't want, I'm in the firm belief that if I'm wrong, please tell me, because I don't want to be running around spreading lies. I don't want to be running around spreading misinformation. Okay. I do my best to fact check things, but if I'm wrong, tell me, because I need to know, because I don't, I get on people for spreading misinformation. I don't want to be that person as well. And sometimes things get away from me and I don't know it. I don't realize it, you just get kind of overzealous when you're posting stuff and you're like, I got it. And then I don't check it. And then somebody will come along very quietly and go, this isn't right. And it's like, oh, okay. And then I'll double check it. It's like, oh my God. And then I'll take it off. I'll delete it, because but that's obviously a different scenario, but sometimes we need to take a break. All right. Sometimes we need to find our way back to center and just breathe. The more love we put into this world, the more positivity we put in this world, the more we are probably going to save it. I'm not saying that you have to go out there and be all kumbaya. All right. I'm not saying you have to go out there and, just, I think what we need right now is like a hybrid hippie flower child, right? It's kind of like siblings like a hybrid hippie and flower child. And by that, I mean people that are willing to keep the peace, but will also fight for it. Okay, not just one or the other, just one of those hybrids, those people that cross the lines on either side that says, hey, you know what, I'm all about peace and love, but also you need to check yourself. All right. So I know this was a little bit upending and a little bit chaotic in the way that we did this, but I think I got the point across. There's nothing wrong with being right, but I think the delivery is what matters. I think there's something in the delivery of needing to be right that sometimes just gets away from us, right? We're just kind of like, really? So take a deep breath, just breathe. All right. And, I know right now in the world that we live in, there is a fine line to walk, because we want people to know the truth. We want people to see the truth, and a lot of them won't. And, until they're able to come to their own truth, you just have to decide, who and when, or I shouldn't say who and when. You just have to decide when you're just kind of like, I'm done. Because some people just won't listen. Some people just won't open their eyes. Some people just don't want to. They will double down on what they believe because they don't want to be wrong. And that's one of the things we didn't talk about, is it? Because I totally forgot about that. People will double down because they don't want to be wrong. And to those people, it's okay to be wrong. Shit, the best thing that ever happened in my life was realizing I don't need to be right all the time. That was like freeing, because being right all the time was about perfectionism. And perfectionism doesn't exist. But you also don't want to alienate people, right? You want to draw people in, and you don't want to push them away. And sometimes when we double down on what we believe in and we start telling people, well, you're wrong, then, we've got a problem. Because a lot of these people that will tell you that you're wrong don't do their own fact checking. They just listen to whatever some TV station is spewing at them, or some, social media post is spewing at them that they want to hear of someone they, believe in. And it's not always right. There's been a lot of controversies this year. I mean, Jesus, we're only in October and there's already been so many controversies this year. I mean, more so than usual, it seems like. But just hang in there, all right? Hang in there. Stay steadfast in your beliefs. And just remember, humility is not a bad thing. Humility is actually a very beautiful thing. If you're a Christian, Jesus taught humility. But a lot of people don't live by that. They live by what, they want to believe. They'll take the Bible and they'll weaponize it for their own purpose. And, then they'll spout Bible verses that they don't follow. They'll spout teachings that they don't follow. So we have to decide, all right? Like I said, there's a fine line between ego and humility, and I think a lot of us are missing it. And so, including me, I have my moments. I totally have my petty moments. But in fact, older sibling and I were talking about that a couple of weeks ago, and about a week ago, and I said, I had a petty moment today. And I shared it with her, and we both laughed. But in a way, it wasn't really being petty. It's just kind of like people dig their own holes, and then they get mad at everybody else because they dug their own holes. Because they double down, they double down, they double down. And then, they'll kick out family, they'll kick out friends, they'll just offer some belief that they have. If you start losing family and friends over beliefs, we really need to rethink our beliefs. And I don't mean the people that set boundaries against those kind of beliefs. I mean the people that say, well, if you don't believe what I believe, then you are not a part of my life. As opposed to people setting boundaries because, you ask them, please, let's not talk about this. And that's all they want to do is try to be right, and try to indoctrinate you into their thinking. And you're kind of like, no. And I'm going to set a boundary with you until you stop, because I just want to sit here and have a nice, gathering. I don't want someone preaching at me. We're here to talk. We're here to catch up. We're here to enjoy each other's company, not to be indoctrinated. And that's exactly what happens in a lot of things, especially here. We should be a warning sign for other countries. Don't do what we're doing because it's bad. And yes, it got a little political. No, I don't fucking care. Because it's sad. It's sad. And when you read cards like thoughtfulness and you read cards like humility, you think, where the hell did that go? Where did common decency go? Where did camaraderie go? Where did friendships go? Where did family relationships go? Those are things that we have to think about. So I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day. I'm not sure if we hit the nail on the head with the cards, but whatever. You got what you got. So, and I don't mean to be a little blasé. I'm feeling a little out of sorts this morning. I'm feeling a little, my ear is really healing. And I think that's part of the problem is that, it always gets worse before it gets better. Right. So, I can take this out now because that was causing, so, it's just a little upending sometimes. And, when I'll be a little better tomorrow, when you don't do a show for a couple of days, that echo, it just kind of gets to you. So anyways, I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. I don't know if we're going to talk about the subject that I wrote about over the weekend or if we're going to do the Affirmators tomorrow, but I hope you do come back even after today's kind of discombobulated show. So again, have a great day, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. For those of you out there who are fighting the good fight, thank you. I honor you and I appreciate you and I thank you, including older sibling who is out there doing the deeds. So anyways, I appreciate you all. I really do. So, and to all my magical brothers and sisters out there who are putting out the good vibes, trying to get us back under control here and balanced. I thank you as well. So again, have a great day, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Pacific time, Facebook Live. All lives are public under Shella Marie Lucas. You can catch me across the social media board. Yes, have a wonderful, wonderful day. And again, thank you so much for watching.